But I think in some ways, I grew up too fast, and maybe a lot of other boomers could say the same. I mean, I turned 9 during the Cuban Missile Crisis, when any 9-year-old was having nightmares of the world going up in a nuclear conflagration. Um, at age 10, I walked out of my 5th grade classroom with every desk in the room streaked with tears. Father took us to church that night to pray. And I remember walking away, losing my faith, going, that didn't do anything. By 15, I was writing for an underground newspaper, taking mescaline and protesting against the Vietnam War, to the point that I even got maced in the Purdue Memorial Union while protesting the bombing of Cambodia. So we watched a lot of things. We watched Woodstock turn to Altamont during the summer that a man walked on the moon. During my first semester and last semester, my senior year in high school, Joplin and Morrison all die at the age of 37, part of the 37 Club before Kurt Cobain and Amy Winehouse. So that was all brought me to age 16 only, when I graduated from high school in 1970 and started taking courses at Purdue. But then I fell in love. I met Shannon, my first love, the first and worst loss of my life, I think I compare everything else to. And we had a great time. Oh my God. Dry humping on her parents' couch to the Jefferson Airplane. It was amazing. And by that summer, she was off to Europe with her best friend. And I was getting my wake-up call that I wasn't really a member of the proletariat because I hated working night shift at Essex Wire. Shannon comes back, and one of the first things she does is to write, "Fuck you, Teske," on my book bag, which is nice because by the end of the summer, we got in our car, drove down to Brown County State Park, and I dragged a quilt into the woods, and we lost our virginity together. Nice. And I was going to have this amazing girlfriend through most of college, which most people didn't. I started getting much better grades the first semester at Indiana, and everything was on the up and up. And then in the 1972-73 school year, my father had a breakdown. He was a Lutheran minister who was radical, who was marched with King, who gave anti-Vietnam speeches, and he went into the garage and turned the car and was going to kill himself with carbon monoxide before he decided not to. He was in an Indianapolis hospital and got 12 shock treatments, and I think it just pithed him. He ceased to be a model for me of a mature adult, I suppose, middle-aged male at that point, and I just felt like I lost one of the greatest supports in my life. So that was not good. And I think in college, I was clinging to Shannon too much and being troubled in many ways after losing this model. My father was a great model of many moral things and intellectual things, and he was still alive, sort of. But then we had a little crisis. Shannon's Down syndrome sweet brother Joey dumped her purse on the living room carpet, and her mother found Shannon's pulse. So suddenly, Shannon's not going to be spending her summer in Bloomington, where we're in college at Indiana, and I was already committed to doing that. After my father's breakdown, I realized my twin brothers, were both going to be starting college in 1974, so I needed to graduate by May and be the heck out of there. So I was needing to take these summer courses. I was getting ready for an honors thesis, doing some readings, and Shannon went to Martha's Vineyard to be with the same friend that she went to Europe with. I visited her there a few times. I loved it there. I love Massachusetts. I love Martha's Vineyard. It was amazing. I remember making love on a sandy beach below Gay Head. But I also remember feeling a knot in my heart as I waved to Shannon from the ferry when I was leaving, because something was wrong. And something sure was wrong, because the young high school dropout that she met at the ice cream place that she worked turned out to be more than a friendly interest. And by the time he'd visited her a few times in Bloomington, the deal was sealed. I remember being in her kitchen and seeing her toes in socks, caressing his feet, trying to make him feel better when I was on one of my tirades. I was bereft. I was shot me down from a suicide attempt. I don't think I would have done it, but I had a kitchen knife in my hand. I got support from friends. I mean, I was working on my senior thesis. I was also in a graduate seminar in anthropology, the last of the credits that I needed to finish up. And I'd lost my first love. And it was a horror show. I unraveled. I drank too much. I did all sorts of other things, but finally graduated and was just running on my lease. Had no idea what I was going to do until a friend said, let's go west. We took a VW bus all the way to California. I stayed at my aunt's house for a while, looked for a job, couldn't find anything in psychology, finally just pounded the pavement, got a job for the Brentano's warehouse. I was picking out books to sell in the Californians. I liked going to work. I had a place to live. I realized that the secret to life was find a job that allows you to pay rent and buy food, and everything else is gravy. And it was. I went home. I got into graduate school after reading from the psychology, dictionary on my hour bus ride to work all the time. I go back to Bloomington and all my friends are playing the same old games and I'm different. But the biggest was the picture I saw of me with my family of origin in front of Our Savior's Lutheran Church in West Lafayette, Indiana. I have blonde hair, it's blowing in the wind. I've got a scruffy corduroy jacket on, and I'm realizing that being all grown up really does mean being different from your family. And that's what made all the difference. You have your own agenda, you have your own directions, and you have the confidence to know that you can do it on your own, all grown up.